What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today we're going to be reviewing the 15th Doctor Ncuti Gatwa story, Joy to the World. It is the 2024 Christmas special, brand new Doctor Who here for Joy to the World. Obviously this is coming after Season 1 slash Series 14, whatever you want to call it. A series that I wasn't the biggest fan of on the whole, but I was optimistic going into this episode. You know, I mean, I was hoping it was going to be good. I've been pretty put off by this last series of Doctor Who, I will be honest. I haven't even gone through and fully watched every episode again. I was going to do that before ranking every episode of the series, which I still haven't done yet. I have actually recorded a ranking of all the episodes, but just haven't got around to putting it together yet, so that will hopefully be happening at some point. But today we are talking about the new episode, Joy to the World, and what I thought of it. So anyway, let's get started with the cast. Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor. Yeah, he's good in this one. I do quite like him. I've been a little bit up and down with Ncuti's Doctor over this first series, but I quite like him here. He has funny little moments. He has some slightly more serious moments, but it is a bit more of a funny sort of... I mean, no, he does have that one serious moment when he's kind of getting angry at himself, when, you know, the version of him from the future comes into the hotel room. That's a nice little moment there. I think the acting there is great, and all around the acting is very good. I do quite like Ncuti as the Doctor. I still think some of the writing for him isn't great sometimes, but that's not on him. Of course, this episode is actually mainly written by Stephen Moffat, so although, of course, it will still have a lot of Russell T Davies influence, which there are definitely moments where I am pretty certain that is the case. But yeah, all in all, Ncuti's performance, very good. Nicola Coughlan as Joy Almondo, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. She's the main companion for this story. Of course, Ruby's kind of gone back to Earth with her mum for a while. She does appear right at the end of this story, but doesn't really have much in this one. Nicola as Joy is the main companion, and yeah, she does a fine enough job. I've seen bits of Bridgerton here and there because my partner watches Bridgerton and loves it, so I've seen her here and there in that, and I think she was fine here. She didn't have the most to do. I mean, the story in the end very much revolved around her character, but up until that point, I don't think she had the most to do. I don't think the character was utilized the most. The character of Anita, actually, she was like the manager of the hotel that that Joy was staying in. She kind of almost was more of the companion than Joy was, to be honest. So yeah, Joy was a good enough character. Nicola did a fine job with the acting. Right, so let's get on to some points about this story. First of all, a hotel with rooms that are actually time windows. So a bit of a cliched sort of concept. We've seen it quite a bit in Doctor Who and other science fiction kind of time windows. You know, you step through one door into a different time period, and there's all these different doors going to different times. That is what this futuristic hotel is like. They have all these windows where people can go at Christmas and, you know, go to a different point in time and, you know, spend Christmas at a different point, I guess. So it's a pretty cool concept. It's a bit of a, like I said, a used concept and a cliched concept in some ways, but I did quite like it. This suitcase gets passed on to different people and the previous person dies. So yeah, it starts off, you've got this guy with a suitcase and the Doctor doesn't know what's going on with it, and then that suitcase gets passed to someone else, the original guy dies, then gets passed to someone else who the Doctor's kind of trying to, I don't know, he just picks this random guy that he's like, you're going to help me figure out this mystery for whatever reason, and then he ends up dying as well, and yeah, it just kind of keeps getting passed along until it gets passed to Joy, and then she's got the handcuff. She's got the handcuffs on because it's handcuffed to them, and yeah, if she passes it on to someone else, then she will presumably die as well. So an interesting concept. Didn't really know what was going on for quite a while with that, but it kept me intrigued for a little while. All right, here's a comment that some people are gonna go, oh, what are you talking about? And blah, blah, blah. The mansplained and all men are the same comment. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't like bringing up these sort of things. And when not Ruby, Joy brought up some comment of something about, oh, all men are the same, even lizard men or something. When I heard that comment, I was like, oh, okay, a bit annoying, but whatever. One little comment in there, I'll take that. That's fine. And then there was like, literally like 2 minutes after that, there was like a mansplaining comment or something I think it was Joy again, said something about, oh, you're just mansplaining the situation, or maybe it was Anita, I can't remember. But after that, because they were so close to each other, I was like, right, I know that people go on about political correctness in Doctor Who, and oh, it's always been there in the past, but it's so blatant and just in your face nowadays that it kind of does my head in. I'm not gonna lie. It just feels unnecessary and just thrown in there just for a dig, just to annoy the fans. And based on some of, and I mean, I don't know if this is a Russell thing or a Moffat thing. To me, this feels more like a Russell thing personally. But yeah, it just, based on what Russell has said in the past, I think he wants to annoy fans in a lot of ways like this. And for me, it's just one little comment here and there. Sure, whatever. When you stick two comments within 2 or 3 minutes of each other like that, I just think you're just trying to poke the bear, and frankly, I just don't have time for it. It's just annoying. The Doctor working at the hotel. So once the Doctor gets this code that he needs to kind of stop, I guess, the suitcase from like blowing up or whatever's going to happen, the Doctor from the future comes in, tells him the code, and then the Doctor from the future then takes Joy out, but the Doctor of the present has to stay behind in the hotel, and he has to live out a whole year until the time window opens up back again, Christmas 2025. So he then spends a whole year on Earth, and he's working in this hotel. That's when he gets, to know Anita and that. I quite like that. It somewhat reminded me of like the 11th Doctor in The Power of Three, doing odd jobs around the house when he was waiting around for the cubes, although this was over a much longer period of time, and he didn't seem as agitated as he did back in that episode. But I quite like that, when he's mopping the floors, but he's getting his sonic screwdriver to do it for him and doing all these little jobs here and there. I thought it was quite funny and quite nice. The Doctor and Anita having board game nights. See, I think it was like Thursdays every week they would play a board game. They had like Cluedo. I think they had like Connect Four, like Snakes and Ladders or something. We saw this little montage of them playing all these different games every night. I just thought, I love it when we get to see the Doctor living a normal life. Usually he goes a bit insane. This time he didn't. He seemed to actually really enjoy it. And yeah, just those little glimpses into, him and Anita playing these games, I thought was just great. Joy's mum died on Christmas Day, so that's a big revelation we get. Basically Joy, she's always alone at Christmas, and it turns out that her mum died on Christmas Day, and I guess that's had a pretty big impact on her and what she feels like Christmas is. She's just, she spends it alone, and that becomes a big moment later on in the story. This is all set up by Villengard. Now, I'm pronouncing it Villengard. The Doctor and everybody in this story seems to now pronounce it as Villengard, or yeah, I think Villengard is how he pronounced it. It always used to be pronounced Villengard, so I don't know why they've changed the pronunciation of it, but whatever. That's a minor thing. But the suitcase is made by Villengard. There's something to do with. I mean, I've only watched this once, so forgive me of the things I have wrong here. But something about there's like a star, what was it, like a star seed needs to be exploded or something? I don't know, some weird things going on. We don't know what's going on at the start. We kind of figure it out towards the end. It's very confusing at this point in the story. It's still quite confusing, to be honest, even after I've watched it. It's definitely one that I think needs a second watch in a lot of ways. But basically Villengard are the ones responsible for what's going on here, the suitcase and everything. The Doctor feeds a rope through multiple time windows to get to the suitcase. So, yeah, the suitcase gets eaten by a dinosaur, and then they find it in another time window, kind of behind like a stone doorway, like a man-made doorway sort of thing, but they can't get it open. So the Doctor then goes back to the people he saw on Everest right at the start of the story, on Mount Everest, grabs a rope from them and like a hook, and then feeds that through he starts it on the Orient Express, throws it on the train track, and then feeds it all the way through to the door that he needs to open, and then the force of the hook on the train as the train's coming to a stop pulls the door off. I thought that was a pretty cool scene, actually, seeing this rope go through all these different time windows and seeing it in like the big time window hotel, just wrapping around through all these doorways. I thought that was pretty cool. Finally, the starseed becomes part of Joy. So yep, they open up the suitcase. Well, Joy opens up the suitcase or it just kind of opens up in front of her, and this starseed becomes part of her. And then, yeah, she basically, it turns out this isn't necessarily like a bad thing. I mean, she's going to die, but she kind of goes up into the sky, becomes this like shooting star, manages to like, I don't know, it like goes back to when her mum was dying on Christmas in hospital, and kind of her soul is then kind of brought out and it comes with Joy up into the sky so that they're now together, up in the afterlife or in this star seed or whatever they are. And then there's kind of a hint at the end that this big star that Joy now is the Star of Bethlehem, back with old Jesus and all that sort of stuff. Mary and what's his name? Mary and Joseph. That's yep. I know my Christmas stuff, but yeah, the Star of Bethlehem. Basically, that is Joy. That is the star seed. So a nice little end. Quite confusing, quite weird, but yeah, it was all right. So yes, that is Joy to the World. An interesting episode. It was okay. It was all right. For a rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was okay. They ended up not really being a villain. I was hoping from the teasers that we would see Silurians more. We only saw the one Silurian, which was a bit disappointing. And ultimately, there kind of wasn't really even a villain in this story. The suitcase in the end, other than, yes, it killed Joy, but it's kind of what she wanted in the end, and she somewhat saved her mother because of it. There wasn't really a villain or a bad guy in this story, which I quite like for a Christmas story. I think this is another one of those episodes, like a lot of Christmas specials, to be honest, where it kind of works for a Christmas special, and I can let a few things go because it's a Christmas special. If it was just a normal episode, I'd be a bit more critical on it. But as a Christmas special goes, I think it's fine. It's okay. I'm probably a little bit down on it just because I'm down from the series prior to it. But all in all, a 6.5 out of 10 is what I'm going to give Joy to the World. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.